Let's bring in now Van Hipp, chairman of American Defense International. So here we are. We finally see Donald Trump sitting next to Vladimir Putin. They all seem fairly cordial at this point. What's your expectations of today's meeting?
Well, I think it's like an Ali Frazier matchup. Two heavyweights on the world stage. I'm kind of dating myself when I say that, actually, but I think it is. But I do think this president is going in there from a position of strength. And let me tell you why. Go back to, I think it was March of 2013, Brussels, NATO. President Obama then said that the country of Georgia, who we had supported for NATO membership for many years, said is no longer on the pathway to NATO membership. That was a sign of weakness, and this guy is, an old Russian bear, is all about strength. We sent them mixed signals. They went into Crimea. We know the rest of that story. Now look at Montenegro. The Kremlin has opposed their application for membership in NATO. President Donald Trump has strongly supported it. Little things like this, he's shown strength. I think this LNG, this liquid natural gas deal in Poland, is a big deal. I spoke a couple of years ago to officials in Obama's energy department who were frustrated because they realized that Putin had a monopoly on energy with our allies in Europe. Little things like this, I think this president has done. He has set the stage. He's brought his A game, and I think he's dealing from a position of strength.
And he's dealing with someone, to Stuart Holliday's point, who is quote-unquote sly. He's very shrewd. He plays the long game. Donald Trump is new to the politics or the world of politics. However, he is a seasoned negotiator. How much will that help him in dealing with Putin?
I think it will. I think Putin, he's sly, but he's also a thug. And I think this president from Queens understands that. I think he's had to deal with a few thugs before. So, I think this president actually has kept Putin guessing. I don't think Putin has actually figured out who Donald Trump is. And he's even said that, this guy is not a traditional politician. Putin has actually said that. So I think this president has kept him guessing.
What's the key here? I asked a guest earlier, is the key to find common ground? Yes, you should show strength and hold your ground, but finding common issues that you can agree on, how important is that?
I think it is, and like radical Islam is one that the president talked about on the campaign trail, an area where they could work together, and I think they'll discuss that, and I hope that North Korea will be at the top of the agenda. It's got to be. The Russians have begun to move troops to their border with North Korea. It's a very small border, but they do have a border with North Korea. They've begun to move troops there. And the truth is, the Russians could actually help us put pressure on China. China probably has a better intel understanding of what's going on in North Korea than anyone. That's got to be, I think, front and center, the top issue between the two today.
Yeah, but the Russians and the Chinese took a swipe at South Korea and the U.S., saying you shouldn't be holding those military exercises, as they said, as a knee-jerk reaction to what North Korea is doing. I would imagine that the U.S. not happy with those comments.
Yeah, but those joint training exercises have been going on since we signed the armistice back in the 1950s.
Right.
So that's old news, and so I think we just kind of brushed that off. But I think this president is, look, as far as North Korea is concerned, and this is the sad thing, prior administrations, both Republicans and Democrats, kicked the can down the road, and they have left this president with a mess. But I think thus far he's making the right moves.
Another one, Van. Very quickly, U.S. Defense Secretary James Mattis says the Trump administration remains focused on finding that diplomatic solution to North Korea. Mattis has said, and this made a lot of headlines yesterday, says we're not closer to war despite the launch of that ICBM.
I think what he's saying is he's not surprised they have an ICBM, actually. About 5 years ago, I actually wrote an op-ed for Fox News saying that I thought they were very close to the ICBM then. And the reason I said that, and this is all public information, they used an Unha-3 rocket that uses the same delivery system as their Type of Dong missile to, guess what, get a satellite in space. So if they had the ballistic and delivery technology to get a satellite into space 5 years ago, that told us then they were very close to having an ICBM. So I don't think Secretary Mattis was surprised by what happened this week.
And then what about this issue of Syria and the Russian backing of Assad? It continues to be a major problem. Can these two leaders figure it out?
I think as far as common ground is concerned, and I think Secretary Tillerson gave us a clue on this yesterday when he said maybe an initial starting point for common ground is how we get humanitarian assistance in there. That's something we can work on together. But here's the problem with Syria and Putin. Putin has made a fortune off the Assad regime, selling them just about everything you can think of. They've been a cash cow for Putin at a time when he needs cash.
All right, Van. Thank you so much, Van, for joining us with your insight on this fascinating day as Donald Trump meets face-to-face for the first time with Russian President Vladimir Putin.